Greetings chess fans, my name is Arturs Neiksans, I'm the leading Latvian chess grandmaster, and in this video I will look back at Game 10, played in the World Championship match in Singapore between the reigning world champion Liren against the challenger Dommaraju Gukesh, the only 18-year-old youngster from India. Now, this game finally was everything we're waiting for. It featured a lot of action. There was a queen sacrifice from the white's perspective. Gukesh responded with a double sacrifice back. It went on in a crazy scramble in the middle game. Both opponent kings were exposed, and then, well, you're gonna have to see for yourself how this absolutely crazy and stunning game concluded. Let's start with the very beginning. So here we go. They open up with d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5, bishop f4. Do not be surprised, the London opening, even though it might have the reputation of being a rather positional opening, it can produce a lot of action, as this game promised. e6, e3, c5, we have a completely symmetrical position at the board, and after bishop d6, then comes the fantastic move, d takes on c5, training the pawns on c5. Who could have expected that? So, bishop takes on c5 was played here. Here, Ding opted for more trades. He played c4. Now the action is really heating up. After the short castle, knight c6, knight c3. Now white is hitting the pawn on d5, threatening to create a weakness on d5. There comes an unexpected trade on c4. After bishop takes on c4, knight h5, black offered another trade. Now what do you go with a bishop here? Seemingly white is in trouble. No, here Ding found bishop g5 idea. Very nice move attacking the queen. Here black respond with bishop e7. Now what happened is knight e4. Here Ding centralized his pieces, looking really good, forcing the young Indian to respond with knight f6. And now what happened next just shocked everybody. One piece disappears, second piece disappears, third piece disappears, and there's more. We can trade rooks as well. After bishop d7, rook c1 and bishop e8, rooks disappear off the board, king f1, a3, f5, king e1. How about the second pair of rooks? They're gone as well. Indeed, this is what happened again. And the knights disappear as well. So finally, the game was not really as exciting as I advertised. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, this can happen in a World Championship match. So this might not be really the most exciting game, and I'm gonna walk through again with maybe some of the interesting moments of the game, but essentially I think that both players were happy with the draw, because again, I think that Ding is already once again showing that he's strictly following the match strategy, that he's happy with the draw. Every half a point is getting closer to the tiebreaks, where he probably has pretty good chances. And also for Gukesh, you can't really blame him because he plays with the black color. But I mean, if he really wants to win the match, I think he has to capitalize on this white color. That being said, let's go back. Let's go back from the very beginning and see what did I miss. I mean, the London opening, it's a very solid choice by Ding, and I think it really sticks to his match strategy, plays solid, look for minor chances. And this idea of c5, they already played before. Was it this move order, one of the earlier games, where after c3, bishop d6, where Ding played bishop b5, after knight c6 he played queen a4 idea, didn't really get much out of the opening, even though at some point he was slightly better. So this idea of d takes on c5, and then playing c4, pardon my sarcasm at the very beginning, I mean, there's definitely some ideas, because white is slightly better. Black's let's go bishop on c8 is not really doing anything, so white is aiming for this small pressure. And after castle, knight c6, knight c3, there's not much really Gukesh can do, because alternative for him is to accept an IQP position after white plays c takes on d5, and the pawn on d5 now is just a weakness. So d takes on c4 makes perfect sense, the position is very symmetrical, and I really like this knight h5 move. Here at this moment Gukesh spent some time trying to figure out how to continue instead. Maybe he was also looking at some ideas like queen e7 here, with the idea to play rook d8, maybe trade the ducks with bishops on d6 and play h6, but still, in these positions, white has some sort of a pressure. Yeah, so maybe white could even consider something like bishop g5, rook d8, and put the queen somewhere on, I'm not really sure, on e2 or c2, and if black plays h6, keep the pin here, try not to play knight e4, and because of this pin, maybe black has some issues. Yeah, that's why it was completely understandable that Gukesh didn't decide to go here. He played knight h5, and here, maybe here, Ding had some minor chances. Yeah, this is something they were discussing in the presser after the game, with knight e4 hitting the bishop on c5, and the big idea is that after knight takes on f4, white plays knight c5, and kind of has the slightly better bishop compared to black c8 bishop. But I mean, still this position is so dry, like black can just most likely retreat somewhere with the knight. I don't really believe this is anything real. Like knight g6 here, the engine does find some advantage, like takes, and rook d1. And as you can see, black has some problems to develop. So maybe this knight e4 was giving Ding some better chances. Yeah, and he spent here like 25 minutes and played bishop g5 instead. So essentially what happened here, now he played his knight e4 idea, which maybe was not really a bad choice. But the point is, after bishop takes on g5, knight after g5, suddenly white gets very active, like knight f6, this knight could go to d6, threaten to, at some lines, to take the pawn on f7, but to be honest, it's not much. And basically here, Ding just killed the game immediately. I mean, that's what you have to know. He didn't really have any ambitions here to exploit this weak pawn on h7. Maybe somebody would feel that white has a risk-free position and black has ruined pawn structure or the king side, but at a good level everybody knows. They know this is just a dead draw. You can't ever win this endgame. And the only scenario when white can try to win this is somehow trade both minor pieces, put the king on e2, and maybe put the rook on the 4th rank. Somehow, target the pawn here, let's say the king's on e7, you play rook c4, rook h4, and whatever, something happens, you win the pawn, but all of this is very unlikely. So here, both players perfectly knew what's happening. I think they already knew right here. After knight f6, Gukesh knew it's going to be a draw, and Ding knew it's going to be a draw. So basically, maybe even here, bishop g5 was like a draw offer. So about here, Ding could have continued the game with knight e4, and he just basically decided, okay, whatever, let's just make it a draw. Again, I'm not really shocked about this choice. And I think that many fans, they're not going to like it. But unfortunately, again, this is part of the strategy. Not always chess is exciting. Not always the World Championship matches produce thrilling matches, I was announcing at the very beginning. So part of my fun part, maybe it didn't really work very well, but whatever. How else do you sell this game? But this really resembles me in the 2016 World Championship match between Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karyakin, where essentially the entire match was e4, e5. Oh my goodness, it was e4, e5, e4, e5, e4, e5, and then some e4, e5. So it was really so exciting as you were watching a paint dry. But it's a strategy. It's a strategy, and sometimes it works, right? And if you feel you can't compete with your opponent, who is probably nominally already stronger than you, you do the best you can do. And I think, again, this is part of Ding's strategy. He knows that in an open race, try to outcalculate his opponent, he most likely will be outplayed. So that's why he resorts to this. And basically, he's just dragging the match to the tiebreak and looking for chances. So for Gukesh, this is actually not an easy situation to be in, because he knows that probably he is no longer the favorite. And in tiebreaks, technically, Ding has the higher rating. I'm not really sure if that matters at all. We'll see. I think it's still about equal. So the question is Gukesh going to try to win one of the remaining 2 games of white color? I think he is. But do not be surprised that some of the final classical games, so we have 4 of them left in the classical part, and then comes the tiebreaks, do not be surprised there's not going to be a lot of action. They did their best in the very beginning, and as soon as you're approaching the end phase of the match, the most important goal for both players is to win the match. It's not to entertain the audience. It's like Robbie Williams' famous song, let me entertain you, right? This is not their job. Their job is to win the match, right? And sometimes this is the product. Either way, it's still the perfect game, basically. Yeah, I mean, if you make no mistakes, this is basically the perfect chess game. Perfect chess game, except it's not really that exciting. And we are over. This game is over. 10 games have been played, and 4 games remain. So action comes back tomorrow. So write your thoughts. What do you think about this game? I understand there was not much really to see. Basically, it was pretty clear after 15-20 moves what's going to happen here. But still, write your thoughts. What do you feel about the match? Who, in your opinion, is the favorite? And of course, if you like my video and my exciting announcement at the very beginning, do not forget to press like and also subscribe to my channel. I will be making more daily recaps also tomorrow. Take care. I'm signing off.